sorry for interrupting. I'm Jessie Torres, and I have a special guest here, which is my sister.
Hello.
What's your name?
Jennifer.
And Louis is here, but he's behind the camera. Say hi.
Hello guys, I am working the board and the camera, and I am behind the scenes for this episode.
Woo, woo. We kicked him out. Peace out. So today I am going to be, well, this is actually episode 35. 35, guys. You did it? You did it? Okay, so those that know my sister know she's been away of social media.
Off of social media, yeah.
And not been away, like she hasn't gone. She lives right next to me. But she's been away from social media, so not many have heard or seen or anything of her. She used to make a lot of videos. Remember that?
A few, yeah. Like
like
random.
you just random. Like she's like, oh,
pull over and.
Oh, hold on, guys. I have a 4-minute video.
I know my videos were mad long.
So she's been away from social media, and I'm here to kind of ask you, where you been?
Well, I think
how you been?
I've been. No, but I think it was in 2018. It's crazy how long it's been, but I think it started in 2018 towards the end, where I'm like, okay, I think this whole social media thing is becoming too much. I started to feel like it was my responsibility, and that was the pressure that I was putting on myself. I feel that I needed to post, or I needed to encourage, but in the midst of doing that, I felt like I was feeling empty more and more. Like I was pouring out and not allowing
anything
to be poured into. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't until 2019. I think in 2018, I was my last post on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then 2019 was when I officially deactivated my accounts temporarily, though, because I would say I'm off of social media, but now I will go on the web browser and do
that happens a lot.
It was becoming like an addiction. Uh-huh. That's why I originally was like, that's it. I'm not going on no more.
That's it.
But that's it. But then I would go on the web browser and I'm like, but who am I fooling? Like nobody sees that I'm posting, but I know that I'm getting on.
You felt like you were cheating yourself.
Yeah. And I'm like, but who am I? It was just a struggle. So then, but I knew that it was because it was consuming me. Like I would spend too much time on there. And I'm like, all right. So then in 2019, I officially was like, because I would go a while without getting on, and then I would find myself. And then anytime I would sneak around and get onto the web browser, I'm like, and honestly, this is where I would go, the shade room. That was the only time.
I remember you telling me that, and I'm like, what? How do you go from like letting go of social media and you're like in the shade room? Like
that's it, because that was the only page that was like the shade room Instagram, like the shade room IG. It was already saved on my Google search. And I don't know, I felt like I was missing out. Is this conversation that boring? It just started.
It's not boring. I just had to yawn. I couldn't like hold it. But like, oh gosh. It's like,
no, but then, so I would go on there and I'm like, this is retarded. Like, what the heck am I doing? And then I like officially just deleted everything, but temporarily. And then after I did it, I'm like, but then I did that, and then I deleted my WhatsApp.
Why did you feel like you needed to do it?
It was consuming me. Mm-hmm. Not just consuming me, but then I started to feel like I would compare what I would see.
Okay.
Because then it wasn't just on the shade room, because then I would go onto my news feed or whatever that would be called. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I was happy for people, but then I felt like maybe if it didn't even have to be in the same area of my life and theirs, but I would feel less than about myself. I don't know. It's so strange. And then I'm like, that's it. I'm done. So I deactivated temporarily. And then that's when I started to say to myself, okay, what am I going to use? What am I going to do with this time that I do have available? Mm-hmm. Because when I did have it, I would spend it on social media. And I felt like it was my time to really be intentional about my relationship with God and the things that I knew He placed inside of me that I wasn't really paying attention to or dedicating time to.
Was it more clear to you after you let go of social media? Like, okay, now I get it more? Or was it a struggle where you're just like,
At at certain times, I felt like it was clear, but then other times it felt like not so clear because, for example, in 2015, he showed me that he wanted me to write a book, right? And it was like I don't know if it was a dream or I knew it was a vision. And then he confirmed it like 3 times on 3 different occasions, one being at Abundant Life with Bishop C. Wright.
That's a church that I used to go to.
Yeah. And then
we used to go to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then an app that Daughters of the King app. And it was a devotional that week that confirmed it as well. And so I was wasting time not writing anything, and I love to write. And so when I made the decision to get off of social media, I'm like, okay, what am I going to use with this time? But then I would waste time when I did have it, because then I became challenged with working, having Jacob, who's going to be 3 years old.
Terrible 3.
Oh my goodness. He's not even 3 yet, but so then having...
Is it terrible 3s or terrible 2s?
Terrible 2s. I don't know what 3s are called. I don't know.
Okay. Never mind.
Then having Armani, turning 12 years old. So it was my job, a lot of responsibilities that I had that I would make excuses for and not spending that time in doing what I knew that I needed to do. And then it became real, because now you have no excuses. Mm-hmm. And you have to then look at yourself and say, all right, what's holding you back now? Mm-hmm. And that's when...
So where are you at now? It's been 2 years away from social media completely, right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing now, or how is it being quarantined? And not that, because you know how some people are letting go of social media because they're like, oh, everything is so together, like everybody's posting everything about the news, everything, so people need to let go of social media because it's been so overwhelming. Now that everything is going on with this pandemic, how are you dealing with everything where you're at now?
I feel like I'm handling it the best way I can. Although I'm not on social media, I do use YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I watch, different sermons that are streaming live. I watch motivating videos. I even go on. I'm subscribed to channels of people that do pranks on each other.
And she's subscribed to our channel.
Yes. So please do some. So I've been spending. So in this whole quarantine, it forced me to really, really be intentional about this book. And it's been 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. And then I had to think about it. I'm like, wow, it's been 5 years. And 5 years, the number 5 represents grace, God's grace. And I know that in the beginning, in 2017, he started to give me revelations. In 2018, like what the book cover was going to be like, what I wanted to talk about in the book, different things like that. But then I'm like, then you start questioning yourself, because, you get a vision and you have this idea, but then you want it to flow the way you want it to flow. When it doesn't, you then question it, like, okay, so then maybe it wasn't a vision. Maybe this was something that I made up. Mm-hmm. And that's where it was challenging, because I'm like, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, then why am I, being challenged in such a way where I can't make the time for it because I'm working all these hours. I have Jacob, who I have to look after. I don't have the extra time that I once did with Armani, because he was a little older and he wasn't as needy as Jacob is now, being a toddler. Mm-hmm. So it was very, very difficult. So yeah, go ahead.
No.
So I felt like during this time I had to make the decision to start writing. And my way of writing was, even if it had nothing to do with the book, I would just journal my thoughts on what my day was like each day. And sometimes it would just be a few words, because I'd be pissed off and I'd be like, God, you need to help me, and I'm not hearing from you right now. And then other times where it would just flow and there'd be several pages. But yeah.
How do you feel being that Edison has books out, right? Mm-hmm. And God placed this in your heart? How do you feel? Do you feel like you compare it to him, where you're like, oh, he has books out, but why is it that I'm still struggling with mine? Like, do you ever feel like there was, even though that's your husband and you're getting inspired by him and everything, do you feel like that's that's pushing you back, or that's motivating you, or you feel like, why am I stuck and he's not, or he's putting out more books, but what's going on with me? Do you ever feel that way? Because many people probably would be like, "Well, how is it so hard?"
It is hard, and it's hard because this is like him. I'm not used to looking at the camera, but him coming out with all these books. I feel like this is the vision he's been given, right? And it just flows with him, and he knows what he's going to talk about. He writes about it, and it's what it is. For me, and it's only one book, right? It's only one book, and I have an idea of what it is that God wants me to talk about. But I think the main thing is my confidence in myself. Edison, he's very confident, not in an arrogant way. He's just very confident, and especially if he's challenged or challenged in any way, he's quick to be like, well, even he challenges himself. Whereas for me, I'm not there, and I feel like that's where God is dealing with me in that area of insecurity, of identity, of fear, of doubt, and all these different things that I feel like I should have had it all together as a believer, right, as a follower of Christ, and it's been a struggle.
And the reason why I said that is because I feel that that's how we are in our faith, right?
Ooh, that was good.
It's good. Because we could have something that God gives us, right? And it's taking you 5 years, and you're still working on it. And God placed that in Edison's also, but he went on it. It doesn't say that it's anything less than you're less than Edison because he has books out and you haven't. It just says that God is working and doing things in your life differently. And it's still his word and his promises is still happening, right? But everybody's journey is different.
Yes.
It may look similar, but it's everybody. Everybody's journey is differently. And I feel that that's exactly how we are, and so many people are, where we constantly just judge and want to be in a position with our faith in our journey with God, that we're just like, yeah, but this person is so advanced, but we kind of started at the same time. And it's just like, how do you know more of this one, of the word, or how do you worship? And you're so, you're getting all the blessings, but people don't know the struggles that you've been through. People don't know everything that you're going through to get to that level, right? And they only see what's what is that? The hype, the
highlight reel.
Yeah, and then people just see that, but people don't see where you're going, the behind it, right? So I just feel like that was just like, wow, that was just
that's
something
deep.
that
That's deep because, our experiences are different, and I feel that one of the things that I pray because I like to be specific with my prayers. So one of my prayers that I've made is I would ask God, like, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, then you have to be the one to lead me. So, and this is a bold prayer, but I would say, Lord, whatever it is that I have to go through, allow me to go through it. And I don't realize what I'm setting myself up for, because now, not that he's going to do it in a way to...
You ask and yes, you receive.
Right? Yeah. So that's exactly what's happening. And I feel that in order for this book to come to pass, because obviously on my Instagram, my username is Journeys Within. You might not be able to search it because I deactivated it temporarily, but so it's Journeys Within. And I feel that it's so important to talk about the different journeys of our walk and how it correlates with the stories that we find in the Bible, and how it can encourage us, because sometimes not all of us are find it easy to read the Bible. And I feel like when you're able to understand the story, when you're able to relate to it and connect to it in some way, when you go back to the Bible and read it, you have a better understanding. And so I feel that in order for me to understand, or for the reader to understand what it is that I'm writing about, I have to experience it for myself and know
I think
what
that's where he took you with this 5 years. It's like where, okay, you want me to, I'm placing that where it's like journeys within. You want to talk about your journey. Now I'm going to take you through a journey. Right?
And it hasn't been hard.
Easy.
No, it hasn't. And it's crazy because when we did our women empowerment event, the first one, when we did the vision boards, I have my vision board up, and it has a lot of different things. And a lot of what's on there is what I've experienced thus far. and things that I know that I'm about to experience. And there are things that I was even afraid to post up because it was scary. And it's like, wow. I remember putting the word wilderness, putting breakthrough across from it. There's a picture of like a way. Maybe I could send you the picture and you can. I don't know how you'll be able to do it on your Instagram, but anyway, so there's different things that are on my vision board that I look back on and say I can understand why I'm going through what I'm going through, because here is God giving me a glimpse of what I'm going to be experiencing, but only to be encouraged and know that He's with me every step of the way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel like I'm in the process. I'm in a season where this season I feel like it's just one. Right? You talk about season and you think it's just one season, but this season I feel like has been.
And I also feel that when we're at church or we get prophesized, right? We get a word from God and we think it's going to happen instantly. Like this, right? So we're like, in a year, okay, why didn't this happen? And it's like, God is like, I didn't give you this and tell you it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm giving you this because I'm telling you it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's going to take you 5-10 years, it's going to happen. Just stay true to my word that it's going to come to pass. But I'm going to have to take you to places where you didn't even envision yourself where it's going to go. And it's going to come. But are you really real with me?
That's where I was.
Like, are you really real with me? And once you're like stripped down from that, then He's like, okay, I'm taking you there. Now you learn from this. Now I'm going to take you to another space, and it's not in a way where we're being punished.
No, it's discipline. I look at it as discipline. And I feel that there was something that you said. There was a few things that you said that now my mind is.
Well, my memory doesn't work where I could go back.
You said, I hate when this happens. That's why I do better at writing. Because my mind doesn't wander. But
where He takes you back, it takes you 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we go ahead of ourselves, right? And we talk about the visions that God gives us, or the ideas, or wherever it is that we feel that God is leading us to. We go ahead of God and we talk about it to people because you're excited, and you obviously talk about it to people that you trust and you love, and you know that they're gonna pray for you and encourage you. But then you put that pressure on yourself because then a year goes by, 2 years go by, and like there's still no book.
And then you're feeling like you don't even owe it to God, right?
Now you feel like
you're feeling it to the people. Because now that's going to be all worked up that you're like, but I already said that.
Yeah.
I already told somebody I was going to have a book, and now I didn't do it. So it's like, I feel shameful, and I'm not even going to talk about it. And I'd rather just like try to shut myself down because it's not happening. And then you feel discouraged, and then you don't want to even do it because you're just like, I mentioned it and it's not happening and it's not there. Yeah. And people's vision, like we want everything quick, quick. Everything is just there. And it's just like, no, you have to have patience. And this is where our patience work.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it really puts us to a test where, and I think it's just, I'm more of an analogy, and you know that.
Yeah.
I like to visually see things and just be like, oh, okay, that's how it's going to work, and that's how I just saw it right now as we're just talking. That's and cool. This is not even something that we even like talked about because I was just feeling stuck. Like, well, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
But
that's good. That's good. And I think that it's more than just this book. I feel like, yes, okay, this is a vision God gave me, but this is not the only thing He's called me to do. And I feel that in the process of it, He's he's molding me and stripping me, right? Pruning me from the things that don't serve Him anymore. Because it's not necessarily a bad thing, the things that I've done or things that I was accustomed to doing. But now He's taking me to a different level. And in order for me to grow into that, I need to let go of what was to be who He's intended me to be. And so in the process of this book, this is not a type of book where you'll read and finish the book and be like, okay, now I'm the person who I felt like I could be now that I finished it. No, it's your journey to continue. So there's a lot of, as I'm talking, it's like different ideas that are coming to me about this book, but I'm very impulsive, I'm really quick to share, but I
right?
Can't.
Even though you haven't gotten to the book where you finished it, but you've been doing things when you said you've been doing things along the way, but you've been blogging.
Yes.
And yeah, it hasn't been out where like so many people are seeing it, but you do have a blog.
Yeah.
And we could post it down there, below, down here.
Yeah.
Where you do share a lot of your stuff. You share a lot of your your experiences, how you got here. So if you guys are interested, you guys can go and click the link below.
And even with that, with my blog, right? I've only posted 2 posts for this year. My last post was in January of 2019, which was my first post for that year. And I envisioned 2019 to be an amazing year. Not to say that it wasn't, but it was the most challenging. And I feel like I've said this so many times, but I feel like 2019 was the most challenging year that I've had thus far since I came to Christ. I think it's where I've been the most tested.
And you came to Christ when?
2010.
Yeah. So you see, it's not like you come to Christ and you're just like, oh, everything is perfect and everything's just gonna go perfect from there on out. Like we're always gonna be facing something that we have to go back to and like really not rego.
So it's your English,
but it's my English and I'm sticking to it. But you have to go back to like address those issues so then you can move forward.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it can also be challenging when you see others that have walked alongside you and they've progressed and they're a lot further than you may have thought that you would be by now. And I'm genuinely so happy for them. And I try to support them as best as I can and be there for them, because you can't expect to always be on the same level with those that you are close to, because sometimes you have friends, right, or sisters in Christ that are on the same level. Then there's others that are on a higher level, and they are there to pull you up. And then you're then you have those that are a little lower than you. But I don't like saying levels, but you know what I'm saying? That are maybe in the beginning stages or just in the season where you have already overcome. But because you've gone through it, you can encourage them and pull them with you and lift them up when they're finding themselves down. So I think that's the beautiful part about our relationship with God, and how we're all on different journeys and different experience, that we're experiencing Him in a different way according to how we are and who He created us to be.
I'm so sorry.
No,
Just
it's okay.
Checking the timing. 8 minutes, right?
So yeah.
So where do you see yourself going now? Like, what do you see, or what do you have planned? Moving forward.
My goal is to finish this book eventually, right?
Do you ever think of coming back? I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Go.
But think about that, because I'm gonna forget. But I'm being intentional. My goal is to be intentional day to day in writing at least something. Because sometimes I'll experience something and I just don't, I'm too overwhelmed, or it's just too hard, so I don't journal it and I have it in my mind. But these are things that obviously I have to write down, because this is a journey. This is something that I'm going to be experiencing, that maybe the reader will experience and be like, yes, I'm not alone. Not that you should feel good that I'm going through it, but you should feel, you just feel encouraged when you're able to connect to somebody that has been through the things you've been through, and to see that they're no longer there. You can be like, well, if God did it for them, then He can do it for me. So that's the point. But what were you going to ask me?
I don't know.
Oh, social media. If I
do you think you'll come back to social media?
I know I am. I don't think I'm ready for it right now.
Okay.
The thought of it just gives me anxiety. And I feel like I won't know until I do. But I feel right now that if I do go back on, I'm going to be consumed all over again.
And that's true, because when I let go of social media for that year, right, coming back, I actually came back when we started our podcast, right? And I've been only using it really for like the podcast. I feel still a little bit like posting, and I used to post a lot, like about everything. And I feel that right now I'm just in that space there where I'm like, but you know what? Some people may use that as a negative thing, like, posting so much. But for me, I think I may start using it for a different, to go back to why I first started with social media, which was like weight loss and all this stuff. And since I've been feeling a little bit that quarantine 15, whatever everybody's saying, you gain weight. So I think I'm using that also, not just for the podcast, but also for the journey. But
making me emotional.
Why?
I don't know. I'm very proud of you.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I am. I'm very proud of you, because I think about when you did do that, and how many you encouraged, because sis, you're real. You're genuine. You're not trying to And I think that's why people relate and connect with you, because your journey in what it was before and how you will be now is what many are afraid or too ashamed to even speak on. So you being the one to put yourself out there, which is not easy.
It's not.
But to put yourself out there is encouraging, because it breaks the idea of that you have to look a certain way for social media, because you're not trying to look a certain way. You want to look the way you want to look when you look in the mirror and say, I feel good, even if you're not at the weight that you want to be. But I think that's progress. And I think that with my blog, and this is not me trying to promote the blog, but you'll find,
go ahead, promote.
No, but I'm just saying, like, things that you'll see on my blog are probably not things that you'll probably be used to having a believer, as they say, or a Christian to write about. But that's what it's been like for me. And I feel that me going through it and not having others speak on those things have made it harder for me, because it's like, then I feel alone. I feel like maybe my faith isn't where it should be, or maybe I'm doing something wrong to cause this upon myself, or but it's just what it's been like for me.
But what I look at you and I admire you but the most is that a lot of people forget, not that they forget where they came from, but the struggles of having that. Like, we want to glorify God, yes, at all times. We want to show how good He has been. And not that He hasn't been good, but that struggle of getting there, people tend to forget to show, right? So when people are coming to Christ and they're going through that struggle, they're like, why nobody spoke about this? And you want to get to that point where you want to talk about it so people could understand you're not alone in this walk. Like, we're going to be facing so many challenges, and people don't talk about those small challenges.
And you're going to want...
Yeah, in your book and your even your blogging, just yourself, you always say that. Like, I want to be able to, for the people to understand that you're going to go through it. Like, you're not faking the funk where it's like, yeah, everything is being glorified. Thank God for everything. And it's just like, yeah, but what have you been through? Like, you know, how has it been for you? And a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people, and I remember when, you know, and there's a whole story behind it with my sister and her now husband Edison. And if you've seen episode 5, I think it was, or 4, that you guys talk about your relationship, but a lot of people saw you guys coming together, and they're like, yeah, but they didn't see the struggle of getting there. And I feel that that's where you speak most about and want to get that to the people. So
yeah, and I think that the important thing to also mention is that you will want to throw in the towel many times, not just in your relationship with God, but in anything that you're called to, anything that you are committed to. It may not go the way you want it to go, and then you're just like, because it didn't, you want to throw in the towel. You don't think that this is for you anymore, but it is. And the whole thing is about persevering and continuing to press forward and being okay with not being okay.
Yeah.
And being honest with yourself and say, you know what, it's just not working for me. Like, I'm tired. But God has a way of showing you, even when you're this close to giving up and throwing in the towel, He will show up and show out in a way that you didn't even think you needed, but He's that good.
Whether it's a sign from a car in front of you, a friend,
or just man that God used.
Yeah, just anything.
He used. Go ahead.
No.
That's it. This is what we do. This is what we do. But
thank you so much, sis, for sharing. I know this has been like, but I'm so glad. And I'm so proud to have you as my sister.
I'm proud to have you as mine.
You saw that, right? I didn't like...
No, yeah, because she does this thing where it's like, you gotta go. That's it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Comment below, like, subscribe. I even forgot how to say that. But anyway, my sister's blog will be down below, and when her book comes out, we'll promote it too. I don't know. But this is our story, and we're sticking to it. Adios. Peace.